In eastern Ruhuna Kingdom, quiet country town Minatuka sits beneath distant mountains. Inside town, a grateful man thanks Kanado for helping him again, praising his magic for making him feel right as rain in no time. Kanado beams and says he is glad to hear it. Praise keeps coming. Man says Kanado helps him stay healthy enough to keep working, while Kanado shyly insists he is only doing his job. He adds that he used magic to close wound on Man's arm and speed up healing. Man respects Seitai magic, and Kanado blushes, admitting it is no big deal because it is only thing he has ever been able to do. Caption names him Kanado, town Seitai practitioner. Talk turns to other kinds of magic. Man says Adventure Guild mages must be even more incredible, with people who can shoot flames, while Kanado says his own magic only adjusts mana flow to enhance treatment. After leaving, Kanado finishes appointments. Then a bright blonde girl rushes toward him, calling his name. Caption introduces her as Linnae, innkeeper's daughter. Linnae sparkles with a sweet smile and asks how much money Kanado can lend her today. Kanado recoils inside, refusing to be swayed by those shining eyes. She grabs his head anyway, teasing that he cannot deny his adorable childhood friend's request. But he protests that he has nothing to lend as her grip nearly splits his head open. Linnae lets go and apologizes, saying she did not mean to go so hard. Then she wonders why a book claimed intense physical touch could loosen purse strings of naive childhood friends. Kanado demands she throw that book away. When he asks if she was joking, Linnae says jokes aside and pulls out a drooping potted plant from his satchel. Linnae explains that an inn guest loves this plant and is heartbroken because it suddenly started wilting. But Linnae is juggling part-time jobs and cannot afford a new one. Kanado studies plant, notices its mana is jumbled, and wonders if adjusting mana can restore it. Since even plants have small mana flow, he prepares to try. Kanado draws out withered parts, infuses optimal water, then casts Seitai magic. Acceleration. Plant surges back with a rush, turning buff and healthy again. Linnae cheers that he is amazing, while Kanado is relieved it worked, though he warns that doing same to a person would strain them too much. Applause cuts in from nearby. 3 cloaked adventurers approach, and one calls Kanado's magic excellent. Kanado and Linnae tense as lead adventurer says he has heard rumors about him, only mage in town. Linnae whispers that guests at inn asked yesterday if anyone nearby could use magic, confirming those 3 are adventurers, while Kanado stares in uneasy silence. Adventurers stand as combat experts. They belong to guilds, travel world taking missions, and face work ranging from slaying monsters to conquering labyrinths and guarding kingdoms. At inn, adventurers explain that Linnae told them about Kanado. They have heard he is very powerful mage, but Kanado insists he is not. One adventurer says Linnae claimed he greatly helps town with magic, while another recalls watching him control plants and wonders if his power reaches all nature. Kanado shrinks under misunderstanding and explains his magic is therapeutic. He helps body ailments using Seitai magic, applying it to body to accelerate regeneration. When he demonstrates, adventurer's stiff shoulder loosens at once, leaving Linnae overwhelmed by awkwardness. Even after correction, adventurer says, being able to use magic at all makes Kanado special. Then request lands. They want Kanado to come with them to southwestern forest and help them slide dragon there. Kanado freezes at word dragon. Adventurer explains party must be in top shape to slay dragon, and even Kanado's Seitai magic would be big help. Kanado asks for time to think. Linnae panics about referral fee, but Kanado admits he worries he would slow them down because he knows limits of his magic. Adventurer accepts and leaves him to decide. Before leaving, Adventurer says they will wait by town's front gate tonight and will not force him. He warns that if dragon runs wild, town could be threatened too. Night falls, and Linnae grumbles about wasted money while Kanado apologizes. She reminds him that becoming adventurer has been his dream since childhood, not money. Linnae says never following through, and letting dream end as dream would be waste. Her words pull Kanado back to adventurer's promise that even his magic could help. Under moonlight, he stands outside Manutuka Seitai Clinic, caught between fear and chance. Kanado returns home and quietly tells his grandma adventurers asked him to help. She keeps slurping noodles in calm silence, but Kanado's worry spills out. If he refuses and dragon appears, town may be in danger. Searching for answer, he opens Seitai Treatise and wonders what he should do. Kanado's grandma answers his doubt with quiet pride, telling him he is wonderful Seitai practitioner, and she would be proud to send him anywhere. Memories of helping her fill room around Seitai Treatise, and her faith steadies him. Kanado thanks her, then clutches book to his chest as she tells him to go out there and do good job. At Manhua Gate, adventurer Kanado arriving under night sky. He bows hard and apologizes for being late, then asks them to take him along if there is even chance his learned skills can help. Hooded adventurer accepts immediately, and Kanado steps forward despite fear. Kanado admits Dragon Hunt may be more than he can handle, but he wants to know how far he can go. Adventurers grin in approval, and group heads into forest. When Kanado asks about strategy, smooth-haired adventurer calmly says dragon is just up ahead, then snaps twig and calls it strategy. Trap springs at once. Masked hooded man clamps hand over Kainado's mouth and says plan was to lure him to the spot. Another grumbles that Kainado's magic being Seitai is useless, while captors reveal there is no dragon, and they are not adventurers. They say people who can use magic are special because they can be sold as slaves for loads of money. Kanado is dragged into rocky hideout while fake adventurers laugh. Hooded captor orders him into cage, but Kanado hits ground with a hard thud and strains against bindings. With a sudden whip of motion, a black-haired young man in adventurer gear appears and cuts through situation, leaving Kanado stunned. Bound black-haired young man lies on ground, chewing grass as if nothing strange happened. Kanado panics at sight, but young man insists it is not what it looks like, and explains grass is edible, sugar grass packed with minerals. Kanado can only stare, worried that grass eating is not even part man should worry about. Young man casually asks Kanado to call him Big Bro, but Kanado refuses. He then hints real adventurers should wear special badge like his, making Kanado realize fake adventurers and fake dragon trick fooled him completely. Bound together in cave, Kanado admits he got totally duped. Young man finally reveals truth with calm confidence. He is real deal. Captain of Adventurers Guild called Iron Fangs. His name is Jian. Kanado freezes as title lands, then notices absurd contradiction. Captain of Real Adventurers Guild has been captured and tied up beside him. Jian explains how he ended up captured. He tracked smugglers called Black Market, broke their bones one by one, then chased one who escaped. But on street, free food samples tempted him, and he ate one without hesitation. Sample was laced with sleep medicine, dropping him straight into their trap. Back in hideout, Jian sits bound by strange rope and warns that more he tries to loosen it, tighter it gets. Worse, it drains his mana. And since he has already been captured for a while, only little power remains. Kanado listens, then realizes his grandmother's teaching might get them out with Seitai magic. Jian stares blankly at word Seitai, but Kanado explains his idea. Rope is not body, so it is not treatment application. Yet magical device seems contracted like muscle, with mana held in tension. If Kanado channels his Seitai magic through it and adjusts flow of its mana, it may release. Kanado casts Seitai magic, relaxation. Rope around his body snaps loose in wild coils, and he lights up shouting that he did it. Jian watches in surprise, and Kanado rushes to use same method on Jian's bindings too. Freed at last, Jian thanks Kanado and admits he saved him. Kanado smiles, glad he could help, but immediately wants to hurry back to town. Jian stops him, saying guards are still outside and he will handle them. Outside cave, smugglers laugh at idea that anyone could escape complex magic rope layered by several mages. Their confidence shatters when Jian crashes down from above, blasting ground apart and sending bodies and rocks flying through air. Jian tears through smugglers in blur of strikes, smashing one with fist and sending another spinning, as others scream that their merchandise is getting away. Shock spreads through black market ranks when they realize he managed to escape. Jian walks from wreckage with calm menace, admitting he is still not at full power, but this is enough. Kanado trembles at sight, awed by how Real Adventurer Guild captain fights. Jian's smile sharpens as he asks where rest of smugglers are. A surviving smuggler panics as Jian tears through camp, wondering how a man with drained mana escaped at all. He clutches a top-secret book, decides to change plans, and tries to flee before anyone spots him. But Kanado catches him instead and crashes into him hard, while Jian sheepishly admits something must have collapsed during his rampage. Under full moon, disaster answers from shattered rocks. A real dragon rises from rubble, with wings spread wide, scattering stone through night air. Kanado and Jian stand below it, tiny against its massive body. As its eye locks onto them and smoke curls from its mouth, Jian and Kanado stare down into Dragon's lair from broken cliff edge. Then terror hits both at once. Their faces stretch in pure panic as a scream bursts out of them together. Dragon erupts from debris with a roar, proving fake adventurers accidentally built their hideout near a real dragon's nest. Kanado trembles and asks why there is an actual dragon here, while dust and broken stone explode around huge beast. Jian grabs Kanado and bolts as Dragon dives after them. Rocks crash down where they stood, and Dragon growls from dust cloud behind them. Kanado realizes Smuggler Base was near Dragon's lair after all, making their trap worse than anyone imagined. They take cover behind rock, both panting hard. Jian says he has no way to call backup and no choice but to defeat Dragon himself. Kanado worries because Jian said he barely had mana left, but Jian waves it off, trusting his martial arts. Kanado then uses Seitai magic to adjust Jian's remaining mana and realign his joints so he can move at full range. Kanado apologizes because he cannot do more, but Jian bursts into rapid afterimages, thrilled by how light his body feels. He praises Kanado as a magic's kind and caring toward others, then promises to protect Kanado and his town. Since fight is dangerous, Jian tells Kanado to get out while he can. Kanado runs through rocky passage, breathing hard, but stops and looks back. Behind him, Jian launches at Dragon amid flying stones, fighting alone against creatures' massive wings and claws. Kanado realizes Jian is fighting this hard right now to protect him. Kanado remembers Jian calling his magic kind and caring, then grips Rock Face with shaking hands. If Jian is risking himself to save him, Kanado cannot run away. Below, Dragon gathers a pulsing blast in its mouth and hurls it toward Jian. From cliff above, Kanado watches Dragon's attack chew through the battlefield. He notices the glowing massage ball and realizes it is full of mana. More precisely, his Seitai magic works by adjusting mana flow, then boosting that flow. His grandmother's words return. Seitai adjusts mana, controls it, and sets every kind of energy into motion. She had always known he used magic for good, but wondered what would happen if he cast off those restraints. Kanado seizes the chance, throws himself forward, and launches the mana-filled massage ball straight at the dragon. Kanado pours everything into one reckless spell, super acceleration. The ball rockets away in a blazing blur, tearing through air as Kanado screams from the strain and the dragon looms ahead. The accelerated ball slams into the dragon with a brutal blast. The beast roars in pain as impact hammers its body, forcing its huge frame back through the rocky air. Jian stares as Dragon crashes away, stunned by what Kanado just did. Kanado, wild-eyed and shaking, shouts that Seitai is sick, then collapses to ground with his heart pounding. After feeling that power in his own body, he decides he should never use it on patients. After battle, captured black market smugglers sit tied up while Jian praises Kanado, saying he was great back there. Kanado gives his name, and Jian calls feat seriously amazing, assuming Kanado must be a mercenary or monster hunter. Kanado denies it and explains he only works as ordinary Seitai practitioner in town with his grandma. Jian grows serious and asks Kanado what he thinks about becoming adventurer and joining his guild. Kanado freezes, stunned by the offer. Jian immediately brightens, saying Kanado's power would be incredible for Iron Fangs, while Kanado can only stammer in panic that he cannot accept. Kanado panics and refuses Jian's invitation, insisting there is no way he could become adventurer because he is only a Seitai practitioner who knows his limits. Jian asks if he truly does, reminding him he just defeated a dragon, and asking whether adventuring might fit his abilities best. Kanado admits he has been thinking about it, and wants to help other adventurers if he can, but fear returns when he wonders what to tell Grandma. Grandma gives answer before doubt can win. She tells Kanado to be careful, then shocks him by saying he should leave the clinic to her. Holding him close, she repeats that putting Seitai in motion matters more than staying still, and urges him to go out and try. At town gate, Kanado thanks her, promising he will, while Grandma and townspeople send him off. Kanado's farewell grows chaotic when Line marches in with packed bags, waving goodbye to everyone. Kanado demands to know why she is coming, and Line proudly says she wanted to go, so her father agreed because she had been looking for a receptionist. She tells Kanado she believes he will become a great adventurer and will make sure he never regrets his choice, and Kanado answers that he will do his best as the road opens ahead. Kanado begins his path as a would-be adventurer, guided by Jian, captain of the Iron Fangs, toward the royal capital where the guild headquarters stands. Line tags along as third member, carrying a magical recording device and claiming she is documenting their trip to write a profitable autobiography. As they travel, Jian tells Kanado ambition is great and asks whether he has realized something. Jian drops harsh truth. Kanado is not actually adventurer yet because he is not certified. He shows the badge on his arm and explains only people with official badges can work as adventurers. First step is registration with the Adventurers Association, while Line quietly documents that Kanado still refuses to bathe with her, despite years of childhood friendship. At the Adventurers Association Eastern Branch, Kanado stares up at a huge mushroom-shaped building and says exactly what it looks like. Inside, Jean explains the association handles paperwork, oversees missions, and stores useful information. A dark-haired staff member named Hibiki looks up from a book, and Jean greets her, saying he has come to register an adventurer. Kanado asks whether registration means some kind of test, but Hibiki says it is routine. He fills out paperwork, pricks his finger for a drop of blood, and places it on the form. Then a tiny magic assessment doll pops into view to evaluate his abilities, decide his adventurer rank, and authorize the papers, with most people starting at lowest bronze rank unless something unusual appears. Kanado braces himself, thinking of Grandma and vowing to work hard enough to make her proud. Assessment ends, and Magic Doll declares one brutal result: Maggot. Hibiki explains Kanado's physical strength, mana capacity, and mana quality all fall below standard base level, so world should not be overrun by maggots like him. Still, Doll says if he seeks authorization, he must prove himself, turning routine registration into test. Kanado accepts challenge with nervous resolve, saying he will do it. Jian worries assessment doll may be malfunctioning, but Kanado insists becoming adventurer always felt out of reach, and admits he is happy to be pushed through hardship, instead of treated gently. Line and Jian quietly conclude he may be masochist. Assessment doll orders Kanado outside, calling him maggot, and giving him until sundown to help more than 10 people with magic. Since his blood sample already registered him, Doll says authorization can only come through its judgment. It rides along for interview, slaps Kanado when he starts explaining his dream too vaguely, and demands to know what began that dream. Kanado's answer pulls him into memory. Long ago, town where he and Linne came from was attacked by monsters, leaving wreckage under falling snow. Adventurers from Guild came and defeated monsters, and to young Kanado, they seemed like people from completely different world. Among them, one adventurer moved through ruins, giving soup to townspeople. Kanado remembers that adventurer using magic to heat everyone's soup, turning small bowls warm in freezing air. He did not understand magic well then, but hearing that adventurer had warmed soup all over world made him wish he could use magic to help many people too. Later, after meeting Jian, he heard words that gave that wish shape. His magic was kind and caring toward others. Back in present, Kanado declares he is now super committed. Assessment doll answers with icy intensity, telling him to warm up its cold verdict fast. Linne notices pale, sweating man nearby, clearly in trouble, and urges Kanado to go. Their group reaches Uba town, where sick man sits bent over at roadside. Man explains he feels nauseous after riding in carriage and forgot motion sickness medicine. Kanado asks for one moment, then gathers his focus. With soft pulse of magic, he places hands forward and adjusts man's condition as Jian, Line, and Hibiki watch from behind. Relief hits instantly. Man springs up, amazed that he feels better than medicine ever made him feel, while Kanado explains he fixed imbalance in nervous system. Line proudly identifies it as Saitai magic, saying it adjusts small amount of mana flowing through body to treat aching joints, nerve pain, and more. Assessment doll realizes Kanado's total mana is below standard, yet his magic controls other people's mana instead of relying on his own. Kanado leans in with bright confidence and says he will adjust next person too. Assessment doll understands method. Kanado outputs tiny amount to control another person's mana flow and create far greater effect, something impossible without precise control. Soon, another man is all better, and even Doll admits it is warming up in here. After treating everyone nearby, Kanado lies flat on plaza stones, drained and worried there is nobody left in trouble. Assessment doll reminds him he still needs help, at least one more person before sundown. And because assessment happens only once a year, he cannot waste chance. Then doll explains its duty is to judge adventurer level honestly and fail anyone unfit, especially someone dangerously unstable. Kanado sits with doll and admits his limits, but refuses to give up, only because he lacks experience. He vows to pour everything into becoming adventurer. Others will not regret trusting. His stubborn resolve starts warming even assessment doll, while Linne and Hibiki watch nearby and feel same heat. Sudden smoke erupts from town building, breaking quiet. Line screams that fire means serious trouble, and Kanado realizes building is burning. A child appears at upper window as voices cry that someone is still inside. Water from well will be too late, and a desperate parent begs for someone to save his son. Jian steps forward with calm smile, telling Kanado he will leave this one to him. As panic spreads, Jian calls Kanado to act like adventurer. Someone explains mana flows not only through people but through nature too. And Kanado's eyes sharpen. If there is well nearby, then he might find groundwater source beneath town. Lines of hidden flow spread across Stone Plaza, leading him toward trigger point of underground water. Kanado remembers trigger point. Tight knot, acting as pain source, where pressure can release built-up force. His massage ball is already imbued with mana. Gripping that idea, he throws himself into another reckless technique, using super acceleration to drive pressure straight into ground. Impact tears open stone, sending force through hidden water path. Kanado transfers pressure into source below, and fountain erupts upward beside burning building, blasting water high enough to reach flames. Water surges into roaring column, sweeping child safely upward with joyful cry. Debris, bubbles, and spray explode through plaza as torrent overwhelms fire and turns disaster into absurd miracle. Townspeople stare in disbelief while Kanado, Jian, Linne, and Hibiki look on through drifting bubbles. Smoke fades, voices realize, fire is out, and Kanado collapses in relief with assessment doll on his shoulder. When Jian asks how Kanado did, shaken Kanado can only stammer thanks goodness. Assessment doll lands with a smug huff as water and rubble settle around Kanado. It declares he cleared conditions, and Hibiki smiles while presenting completed registration papers. With congratulations, Kanado's adventurer registration is complete, and badge is issued at last. Kanado stares at his new badge in shining disbelief as Jian and Linne cheer behind him. Now officially an adventurer, he turns shyly to Hibiki and asks what rank his badge color means. Answer hits harder than expected. Hibiki reads that badge is called colorless, while assessment doll announces Kanado is first person ever to score below bronze. The doll says it does not regret passing him, but warns him to show how he can shine. With objective complete, group prepares to head for capital, home of Iron Fang's Adventurers Guild, in Rahuna Kingdom's capital city. Tall buildings and busy streets stretch around Kanado, Jian, and Linne. Kanado beams at everything and cries out in awe as city life rises far beyond anything from Manutuka. Capital reveals magic everywhere. Paper-like craft carry people through sky, crates float through air, and Kanado marvels that it is all magic. Jian explains many magicians live here. Magic belongs to daily life, and magical devices are widely available too. Kanado turns to share excitement with Linne, saying Big City is amazing. But Linne has already stopped at a Sam lottery booth. She buys 10 tickets with bright confidence, then scratches them in a frenzy, only to lose so badly she screams in defeat. Still, she insists there are so many shops she wants to visit that she does not know where to start. Jian finally leads them to towering guild building and proudly announces they have arrived at his guild. Kanado and Linne are stunned by how legitimate it looks, especially after hearing there is even an inn inside where Jian practically lives. Linne explodes with ambition, shouting she will work super hard and make tons of cash, until everyone notices something looming above. Without warning, Jian smashes straight through sign ahead, scattering stone and debris around shocked Kanado and Linne. As dust clears, Jian laughs and admits it was only decoy sign, leaving them furious and confused. For Jian, impossible moments demand one thing: smile. Past the shattered decoy sign, real Iron Fang's Guild finally stands behind pretty facade. Jian admits he used nice exterior to trick clients into coming inside, while Linne calls tactic underhanded. Still, she pushes Kanado forward, reminding him this is exactly what he waited for. Kanado steadies himself at entrance, telling himself his life as adventurer starts here. Moment doors open, welcome turns violent. Huge, sharp-eyed man crashes down into floor with explosive force and roars at Jian, demanding to know where Captain has been slacking off all this time. Kanado and Linne freeze in shock as rubble scatters across Guild Hall. Dust settles, and Huge Man suddenly shifts from fury to booming sales pitch. Introducing himself as Oljan, Iron Fang's vice captain, he welcomes them to Guild where no job is too dirty, then adds he also works front desk. Kanado and Linne can only stare, unsure how to process vice captain doubling as receptionist. Oljan's smile snaps back into rage when he realizes Kanado and Linne are not clients. Jian tries to excuse his absence, then proudly reveals he was on recruiting trip and brought new recruits to Iron Fangs. Oljan reacts in disbelief, then slams Jian into floor again, while shouting that Jian must stop crater smashing people like casual shoulder taps. With laughter filling hall, Oljan apologizes to Kanado and Linne for startling them. He explains he and Jian are same age, go way back, and used to be adventurers in different guild. Then tone turns practical. Iron Fangs has talented members but remains small and elite, while bigger guilds corner most requests. Line notes that if missions are scarce, they will have to create them. From upper level, black-haired woman in Iron Fang's uniform appears and calls out Jean's name. She notices Kanado's rank is colorless, below even bronze, and warns that accepting an amateur like him will damage guild credibility. Identified as Iron Fang's member Kaminagi, she refuses to accept him and declares she will knock sense into Jean instead. Kaminagi launches herself down with brutal speed, telling Kainato he should never have come and that it is time he learned his place. Kainato reels in panic while Line shouts his name, but before attack can land cleanly, Kaminagi skids to sudden stop at Line's feet, and her fierce expression vanishes. Kaminagi clasps Line's hands, eyes sparkling, and begs to call her princess, promising to be her knight. Everyone else stands baffled as Jian explains. Kaminagi is huge fan of famous book A Knight's Chronicle, story of knight and princess traveling world to defeat Demon King. Whenever Kaminagi sees girl who fits her type, fantasy overwhelms reality. And Line has fallen straight into her role. Line adapts fast to Kaminagi's princess act, cheerfully saying, "Your Highness is fine too." Kanado watches Iron Fang's members in disbelief and admits they are unique, unsure he can keep up. Jian asks what he thinks of them, then moves straight into standard procedure for new recruits. Assign mentors. Olgin takes Line under him to teach guild work and front desk duties, while Jian says Kanado's mentor will be Kaminagi. Kaminagi's pressure turns murderous, and Kanado instantly fears she is going to kill him. Jian calmly tells him there is no need to be afraid, because all he has to do is tell her about the strong feelings behind his wish to become an adventurer. Jian admits Iron Fang's members have quirks, but says they have mental toughness to overcome any obstacle. Hearing that, Kanado remembers his dream and steels himself. Kanado faces everyone and shouts his reason from the heart. He came to Iron Fangs because he wants to become kind, support many people, and make that dream real by becoming an adventurer who shines with true strength. Around him, Olgin, Line, Kaminagi, and Jian all listen as his resolve fills Guild Hall. Jian accepts Kanado's answer with calm confidence and immediately sends Kanado and Kaminagi on a mission. South of Guild lies Ekviv, village surrounded by small monsters, leaving villagers unable to gather food. Jian tells Kaminagi Kanado's fate is in her hands. If she decides he has no talent after seeing him in action, he will be kicked out of Iron Fangs. Kanado screams that he only arrived today, while Kaminagi smirks and accepts responsibility. Nearby, Olgin and Line already sense Jian has pushed Kanado into despair on purpose. Jian explains that when Kanado is pushed to brink, his true strength appears. Mission paper confirms request, slaying monsters around Ekviv. Sent by Ekviv village mayor. On trade route to Ekviv, ruined stone arches stand under open sky as low-level slime monsters bounce into view. Their round bodies and spiral faces look harmless for only a moment before they open jagged mouths and surge forward with hungry growls. Kanado and Kaminagi are already in danger among broken stones. Kaminagi tears through slimes with sword and ice-like force, shattering monsters inside jagged frozen slabs. She gives Kanado simple way to prove himself. During this mission, he must slay more monsters than she does. Her eyes stay cold as she knows task is nearly impossible. Kanado panics as slimes close in from every side, and Kaminagi calls challenge impossible for a colorless like him. Still, he grips his massage ball and charges forward, declaring it is imbued with his mana. Kaminagi watches with sharp disdain, calling him pathetic as Kanado throws himself into first real Iron Fang's test. Kanado fires his mana-filled massage ball through the ruins with super acceleration, smashing slime after slime in wild ricochets. But as Kaminagi watches, he turns back in panic and blurts out that he is rookie adventurer Kanado, who uses Saitai magic, begging her to teach him everything she knows. Monsters laying mission begins in full. Surrounded by rampaging slimes near village ruins, Kanado admits his attack worked, but he cannot drop his guard. He tries to adjust Massage Ball's trajectory, then remembers practicing on the road with Jian and refuses to ruin it now while wondering where Kaminagi has gone. Answer comes in flash of ice. Kaminagi sweeps through battlefield, freezing slimes into jagged pillars and cutting them down with chilling precision. Kanado can only stare as she lands with sword in hand, proving gap between colorless rookie and Iron Fang's fighter. Kanado answers with his own strange method, launching multiple massage balls in looping super acceleration paths. Kaminagi watches and calls it an application of mana manipulation, admitting it is not bad for a colorless. But, while Kanado catches his breath, slime bodies begin to ooze and gather again. Kanado notices too late as the slimes swell back up and rush toward him with gaping mouths. Kaminagi grabs his collar and yanks him aside, telling the rookie to move. Then she cuts in front and blasts the attacking slimes apart, while Kanado tumbles away in shock. Kaminagi crashes down with another ice strike, shaking the ruined path and making Kanado shout her name in alarm. She explains the problem without softening. Slimes are fluid monsters that keep splitting from their main body, or core, so no matter how many he slays, they keep coming. Kaminagi says they will only multiply unless he fights with a plan, and freezing them like her would be different far too much for a colorless like him. Instead of shrinking back, Kanado blushes with grateful intensity and thanks her for teaching him. Kaminagi is thrown off, realizing she meant to insult him. Not make his eyes sparkle. Kaminagi's thoughts drift to adventurers who once walked beside her with hopeful eyes, then avoided danger, hit walls, and gave up until no one else remained. Looking back at Kanado's stubborn shine, she grips her sword and decides to see how long this colorless can last. Behind her, Kanado nervously calls her name while the fight continues. A crying blonde boy bolts through ruined streets, screaming for help as a giant fused slime thunders after him. Kanado and Kaminagi spot the danger at once, realizing the slimes have merged and transformed. Kaminagi orders Kanado to step back, then leaps in with her sword. But the monster's pressure smashes stone around her and forces a dangerous close fight. The fused slime barrels through the ruins, hounding the boy with its huge mouth wide open. Kanado snatches the child into his arms and retreats through falling rubble, choosing rescue over attack, while the monster crashes through walls behind them. More slimes gather along the broken rooftops, fusing again into a black, rumbling mass. Once the child is safe, Kanado asks if he is okay, and the boy explains his sick mother wanted food, so he secretly left the village to find some. Kaminagi questions why Kanado and the boy are still there, and Kanado admits the association sent them for evaluation. Kanado promises the boy they will handle the monsters before anyone in the village gets hurt. Then, with nervous honesty, he points to Kaminagi and says by we, he means the strong adventurer beside him. Kaminagi snaps, calling him a brat, and cuts straight through his excuse. Super acceleration is like an explosion, injures him every time, and cannot be used for hours in a real fight. Kanado does not deny it. Instead, he looks at Kaminagi and says the wavelength of her katana's mana and her own mana do not match. He admits he is not enough to save the boy's village alone, but says he can support her because that is what his magic is for. More than anything, he does not want to see her get hurt anymore. Kaminagi falls silent, caught off guard by his concern. Kanado explains what he noticed. She has severe sensitivity to cold, and because mana links closely to the body's condition, poor circulation and sudden drops in mana worsen the damage. If he improves her circulation and stabilizes her mana, she should be able to draw her katana again. The threat gives them no time to think. The fused slime rises even larger over the ruins, and Kanado shouts that it has grown again. Kaminagi launches forward, warning that unless they destroy its core, it will keep growing, and orders Kanado to execute his plan immediately. Kanado hesitates because using his mana directly on patients strains their bodies, but Kaminagi refuses to be treated like someone fragile. She declares this is battlefield, and she is proud adventurer of Iron Fangs. Kanado accepts her trust, activates Saitai Magic Flow Boost and prepares to push their gamble through together. Kanado's flow boost spreads through Kaminagi's body like warm water after long cold day. Ice around her loosens, blood and mana begin coursing together, and Kaminagi feels strange heat strong enough to melt frozen pain from inside. Kanado keeps smiling as magic surges through her circulation. Swirls of mana race around Kaminagi. Broken ice floats away, and technique becomes super warming circulation surge, pushing warmth into every stiff limb. Giant slime roars down on them while Child and Kanado cry out for Kaminagi. In still center of chaos, Kaminagi grips katana, eyes steady, blade drawn clean at last. Kaminagi answers monster with one blazing slash. Blade tears through fused slime and freezes its massive body into glittering shards. Kanado cheers that she did it, but Kaminagi calmly tells him not to worry. She is warm and toasty now. After fight, mission evaluation form confirms truth. Request was to slay slimes near Ekviv village, but surrounding area now holds 0 monsters, slime included. Report concludes Kanado and Kaminagi successfully completed mission. Kanado pumps his fist and thanks evaluator. Relieved mission is cleared. Kaminagi, however, notes she still handled every monster herself. Then she admits Kanado's magic let her move more comfortably. And katana and body are finally on same wavelength again. Kaminagi quietly tells Kanado she may rely on his magic much more from now on. Yet strange feeling inside unsettles her, so she tells herself to stay calm and think of a knight's chronicle, while Kanado vows to grow stronger and stand beside her. Kaminagi suddenly realizes Kanado's vow matches line from a knight's chronicle, and her composure cracks. She asks if he reads it. Kanado admits he only knows basic story, not book itself, making Kaminagi blush harder because he said perfect knightly line on his own. Before she can recover, blonde child runs back, calling out to adventurer. Villagers gather after rescue, led by blonde boy who tells adventurers everyone wants to thank them. Kaminagi starts to declare herself someone's knight, but crowd full of ordinary women overwhelms her princess obsession. Even stranger, she admits her whole identity has been built around knight's soul from a knight's chronicle, leaving her spinning when real people do not fit story neatly. Kanado steps forward with calm smile, only saying he is glad everyone in village is safe. Kaminagi freezes behind him as his plain kindness lands like another perfect heroic gesture, while Kanado quietly worries he only knows series by a few remarks and gestures. Kaminagi's heart decides before her mind can resist. Every bone in her body tells her Kanado is true knight. Rather than fight unfamiliar feelings, she treats them as growth and resolves to read entire series again, while Kanado happily carries blonde boy nearby, and she concludes identifying with princess's feelings may not be so bad. Back at Iron Fang's guild, Kanado announces their return beside Kaminagi. Inside, Line is trapped in brutal poster girl training, doing push-ups with Olgin as he calls for last set, and Kanado can only stare in horror at what front desk training has become. Jean greets them with easy smile and asks how Kanado's first mission went. Kaminagi gives her judgment without hesitation. Colorless Kanado proved his ability on his own terms, so as his mentor, she recommends he join Iron Fangs. Jean collapses in relief, while Kanado realizes her words mean acceptance. Kaminagi raises chin proudly and declares Kanado accepted as her knight, shocking everyone in room. Her new plan turns terrifying fast. Kanado must read all 42 volumes by week's end, study knight parts, refine knightly details down to his soul, consult Lady Linnae, and eventually worship her like real princess. Then Kaminagi grows shy and asks Linnae if she can teach her how to be cute like princess, hoping outward practice might help her internalize role. Linnae blinks, then hugs her with instant enthusiasm, declaring it time to start Girl Squad right away. While Jian and Olgin crouch nearby and admit Kanado somehow opened whole new door in Kaminagi. Once chaos settles, Jian congratulates Kanado on doing great work in his first mission. Kanado thanks him, relieved he was not kicked out, but Jian laughs and reveals he never planned to remove him at all. Even if Kanado failed, he intended to keep sending him on missions until Kaminagi accepted him. Kanado can only stare, realizing he has been played once again. Jian reaches out and officially welcomes Kanado to Iron Fangs. Kanado clasps his hand and answers with bright gratitude, but celebration barely breathes before Jian grins and says Kanado's next mission is already lined up. As Kanado reels from how fast everything moves, a furious shout erupts outside, demanding to know who someone thinks they are. Outside guild, rival-looking groups argue over territory in capital streets, yelling that surrounding neighborhoods belong to them. From doorway, Kanado, Linnae, and Jian stare at chaos, while a blonde man with glasses and an Iron Fang's coat sighs at sight of it. He has only returned from long mission, yet already finds idiots fighting over turf again. The blonde man tells Juna to stay back, but small, trembling girl buried under huge pack protests that standing out while carrying all that luggage is mortifying. She wants to hide completely ahead. Shouting grows louder, and blonde man steps toward crowd, asking how many times he must tell them not to fight there. With sharp eyes behind glasses, blonde man warns them not to cause trouble for Iron Fang's neighbors. His voice cuts clean through street noise, turning argument into silence. The warning turns deadly cold. Cause trouble, and he will kill every last one of them. For one stunned instant, rough men freezeth and recognize him as Talius. Fear flips into joy as they cheer his return, smiling like loyal kids caught by frightening older brother. Two lines of men snap into order while Talius stands between them. Kanado and Linnae gape from doorway, terrified by how quickly fight became formation. One man explains everyone was fighting over trash-picking duty, and Talius roars that they should get along during trash duty under Studo. Only then does he notice new faces and ask who they are. Talius introduces himself with bright intensity. Adventurer of Iron Fangs, and Jean's first apprentice. He waves cheerfully after scaring them half to death, insisting the men are not bad guys. Then he points out hidden Juna, saying she stands out because of her height, while Juna panics from behind the luggage and begs everyone not to look at her. Chapter shifts onto a train bound north of capital, toward Kisalani. Talius sobs over Kanado's reason for becoming an adventurer, calling his granny a nice lady and urging him to visit her often. Kanado can only promise he will. With no umbrella and no complaint about rain, Talius declares, "Real man stands in rain and takes it," while Kanado awkwardly tries to steer talk back toward their mission. Inside train, Talius explains mission. Client wants them to find someone named Ibis, magical device engineer. Kanado tries to answer while eating, but small girl with huge pack, Juna, keeps devouring donuts beside him. Talius snaps at her for eating while Kanado talks, and Juna blurts apology, saying donuts looked too good and she wanted Kanado to try some too. Juna gets even more embarrassed, admitting watching Kanado stirred her maternal instincts. Talius demands food of his own, only to be told to buy it himself. When Kanado grows quiet and uncertain, Talius notices at once and asks if he is scared. Kanado admits new missions make it hard to know how to act, so Talius tells him to look at what he has already achieved instead of fearing uncertain future. Talius points to Kanado's uniform and says wearing it proves his accomplishments. His words steady Kanado. Kanado decides he cannot chicken out. Now it will use his magic his own way, gain experience and help many people. Then Talius ruins Sirius' mood by telling him to call him boss, which Kanado refuses immediately. Their train brings them to Kisalani, city northwest of capital, known for crystal artisanship. Streets shine with hanging crystal decorations, and people make their living mining and shaping crystal. Kanado takes an artisan city with awe, while Talius calls it not bad. Then, full of energy, Talius orders team to ask around about Ibis until someone yells for him to catch her. A short, goggle-wearing girl suddenly tumbles from above, clutching strange device, and crashes towards street with panicked apology. Kanado and others shout that someone is falling from sky. Townspeople below are far less impressed, yelling at her to stop jumping around with dangerous thing and to stop pretending to be Ibis. From rooftop, girl insists device is not dangerous and says her mentor only wants to enrich lives with magical devices. Crowd argues she puts people in danger more than she helps, while Talius realizes he has other concerns. Still, girl proudly presents test. Magical device meant to suck up all trash in town. Gargantua no. 1. Gargantua no. 1 activates, but instead of cleaning town, it rips up stone path and sends debris flying. Bystanders dryly admit she did it all right. The girl stands amid wreckage, turns device off, mumbles awkwardly, then flees across rooftops to find another magical device that can make repairs. Talius explodes after her, furious over both ruined town and his wrecked hair. He chases her down with a roar, tackles her across rooftop, and finally pins her. Kanado calls out from below, while girl notices Talius' Iron Fang's mark and asks if he is adventurer. Goggle-wearing girl finally introduces herself as Elsie, client who asked adventurers to find her mentor. Townspeople still demand apology and payment for damages, but Talius cuts through uproar. Helping her mentor is one thing, yet she has to stay popular with townsfolk. Elsie shrinks and apologizes, while another local explains Ibis is talented magical device engineer who has caused trouble for long time. Kisalani townspeople explain pattern. Ibis comes down from workshop deep in mines, tries selling devices like one that just caused mayhem, then returns home and repeats cycle. Lately Ibis has vanished, and only Elsie seems truly fond of her. Elsie lowers her eyes and insists, Ibis is not bad person. Elsie remembers Ibis laughing through failure, admitting she always messes up, but still wants her magical devices to make everyone happy. That dream matters to Elsie. She says, magic is supposed to make people happy, then points to bulky boots on her own feet, explaining Ibis made those magical shoes specially for her. Kanado notices care behind invention. Shoes molded exactly to Elsie's feet so walking becomes comfortable and easy. Hearing that, he smiles and says Ibis sounds truly kind. Elsie stares, stunned by someone understanding her mentor, while Kanado and Juna promise they will find Ibis no matter what. Talius yells about hair grudge and accepted mission, but Elsie's answer is soft gratitude. Search leads team into Kisalani mines, also called Crystal Forest, where huge crystal growths fill tunnel like frozen trees. Kanado calls place amazing, while Talius urges Elsie onward and brags that word lost is not in his vocabulary. Elsie explains Ibis lives deeper in mines, but last time she saw her, Ibis seemed unwell one reason. Elsie asked for help beyond searching workshop. Before they reach workshop, armored attackers rush through crystal dust. Kanado reacts fast, pulling Elsie clear as one suit of armor slams into ground where she stood. Talius praises him for protecting her, while Elsie points ahead and says, this is as far as she got before suits of armor. Attacked reason, she cannot reach Ibis. Talius smashes forward with wild confidence, telling Elsie to sit back and watch pros work. Kanado wants to help, but Talius says it is fine and grins like battle is lesson. Still, Kanado cannot stand idle. He steps behind Talius and Juna, activates Saitai magic, and asks to support them even a little. Flow boost bursts through Talius and Juna, flooding their bodies with warm power. Kanado shouts that he has their backs and movement should feel easier now. Talius staggers in shock, yelling his body feels light, while Juna says magic made her feel powerful. Then enemy closes in, forcing boosted pair straight into battle. Boosted by Kanado's support, Talius laughs through crystal dust and swings his curved blade with wild force. A suit of armor is hurled back in one clean hit, while Kanado watches from behind shattered stone, seeing just how hard iron fangs can strike when his magic flows through them. Explosions echo through Crystal Forest as Talius keeps charging, shouting that he will take every last enemy. Behind him, Kanado, Elsie, and Juna stand safe near the path. Talius grins at the armored foes and boasts that they are dealing with iron fangs, only for the moment to slam into a cliffhanger. Chapter shifts deeper inside the crystal-filled mine, where two unfamiliar figures move across broken terrain. One senses someone else, nearby besides them, and the other complains that delay will put them behind schedule. When a cheerful voice asks if they can take something home, the woman called Lamia refuses at once and threatens punishment. Back with iron fangs, Talius and Juna stand confidently among towering crystals, while Kanado looks caught between awe and nerves. One smashed suit of armor lies ahead, and Elsie gasps that they defeated it in one hit. Kanado realizes this is the power of their magic, while Elsie praises both fighters for winning so easily. Kanado bashfully insists it was not a big deal, but Talius turns praise back on him. He says everything came from Kanado's magic, which made their power far stronger than usual. Juna agrees that her body feels much lighter, and Talius starts dreaming that they might become a strong team until the broken armor creaks and begins getting back up. The revived armor surges forward, but a blast erupts across the cave before it can attack. A tall woman with glasses lands in the debris and scolds the group for neglecting their duties, while lightning-like force crackles around the ruined battlefield. Another warrior drops in with a heavy crash, crushing through the danger as Kanado watches from behind. The bright-haired boy grins and awards himself 10 extra hero points, and Kanado instantly recognizes him and his partner. Talius also reacts, saying he knows those two. The boy panics over his damaged Harrow's sword, while Lamia calmly says bath time must be added to their schedule. Their identity hits the group at once. They are from the Adventurers Guild, the Seraph Wings. When Talius asks what the Seraph Wings are doing here, the pair declares themselves the #1 elite guild in the business, ready to serve. Lamia steps forward with business cards, calmly introducing herself and Zio as proud members of Seraph Wings. Talius immediately bristles at their arrival, but Lamia cuts him off in seconds, then asks what his little friendship club is doing there. Talius erupts at insult, only for Lamia to silence him again with one raised finger. While Talius fumes in background, Kanado turns to Juna and asks what Seraph Wings are. Juna nervously explains several guilds operate in Kingdom, and Seraph Wings is biggest one. They take on major missions on different level from regular work, so everyone calls them strongest guild in Kingdom, while smaller guilds avoid their territory to protect their jobs. Lamia leans close to Talius and says Iron Fangs have guts starting work on same turf, asking whether it is pure tenacity or plain stupidity. Talius snaps back that crushing big rivals makes victory more satisfying. Kanado quietly realizes Jian and Olgin probably never cared about that. Before argument can grow, another suit of armor lunges through crystal. Lamia refuses to waste time. With schedule packed full of missions, she blasts armor apart in one huge explosion, leaving Kanado staring upward in shock as debris rains down. She explains Seraph Wings' client holds rights over Crystal Forest, and their mission is to clear suits of armor blocking mining. When asked if Iron Fangs are after armor too, Zio casually says no. Talius states their mission clearly. They are searching for Ibis, missing person who has not left Crystal Forest for a long time. Lamia accepts split focus and asks Iron Fangs not to interfere, while Seraph Wings handles armor-threatening public safety. Then Zio points at Kanado, calling him colorless, and saying, missing person work suits him better anyway. Zio explains adventurer rank by armband badges colorless, bronze, silver, and gold. Then he poses proudly atop crystal, lightning-like energy curling around him, announcing that his own rank is gold and that he has capacity to become regalia, destined to stand above all adventurers. Talius reacts in disbelief when he hears Zio only started about same time as Kanado, while Juna calls him scary prodigy. Kanado looks up silently, measuring himself against Zio's confidence. Talius wants to settle things right away, but Lamia pushes for schedule and Zio chooses mission over fight, promising to make Talius cry next time. After Seraph Wings move on, Kanado asks what suits of armor are. Elsie explains they were magical gadgets originally made by Ibis and says they sometimes failed while helping out, but never attacked anyone. Talius mocks Ibis for making defects, yet Elsie insists some devices work. Then heavy footsteps scrape behind Kanado, and another armor suddenly closes in, sending him running with a scream. Armor crashes back onto ground, the same one they thought was beaten last week. Talius yells for Kanado to get back, but Kanado spots magic formula written across armor and reaches out with Setai magic, trying relaxation to ease device because it is magical. Talius shouts in alarm, asking what Kanado is doing. But Kanado tells everyone to look closely at armor. With formula covering its body, he thinks he might calm it down. The armor suddenly stops chasing and speaks politely, admitting they found it in embarrassing position, leaving whole groups stunned that it can talk. Talking armor apologizes for rudeness and explains it was programmed to chase away visitors. When Kanado asks if Ibis is dangerous, armor denies misunderstanding and says crystals in mine are vital to Kisalani, so it was sent to protect them from thieves. It praises Miss Ibis as talented, hardworking, and always putting others first, and Elsie quietly agrees that she is enriching everyone's lives. Armor produces list of townspeople and their small troubles. Malfunctioning alarm clock, room that will not heat up, knitting trouble, and more. It says Ibis keeps track of every worry bothering people and dreams of developing magical gadgets to help everyone. Memory of Ibis working alone at her desk makes Elsie murmur her name with worry. Kanado asks Armor if it knows where Ibis is now, but Armor can only sense connection to magic formula written by AbyssManga, not exact location in thick fog. Talius asks how they can follow such vague link. Kanado steps forward, tells them to leave it to him, and pours his magic outward, declaring he can follow trail of AbyssManga. Elsewhere in Crystal Forest, Seraph Wings move through fog-shrouded crystals. Lamia senses someone besides them nearby, while Zio asks if he can take something home. Lamia refuses instantly, warning him about punishment, and complains delay will put them behind schedule. Back with Iron Fangs, Talius and Juna stand over destroyed armor, while Kanado stares at raw power in front of him. The suit went down in one hit. Elsie praises them in amazement. Talius proudly shows off how he can move his hips, and Juna gets embarrassed by his sparkling-eyed approval. Kanado tries to downplay himself, but Talius insists. Victory came from Kanado's magic, making their power far stronger than normal. Juna agrees her body feels much lighter, and Talius excitedly says they may become great team. Then armor creaks back up behind them, and Kanado realizes with dread that this is not good. Blast tears through crystal mine, blowing armored threat apart before it can close in. Lamia lands from explosion with cold confidence, scolding group for neglecting duties while debris rains around her. Another impact follows as Zio crashes into battlefield, lightning-like power bursting around him. He grins over his flashy entrance and awards himself 10 extra hero points, while Kanado and Talius recognize pair at once. Zio suddenly panics over his damaged Harrow's sword, but Lamia stays composed and says bath time must be added to schedule. Their guild name lands heavily. Seraph Wings. When Talius asks what Seraph Wings are doing there, Pear declares they are Kingdom's top elite guild, ready for service. Lamia steps forward and introduces herself and Zio, offering business cards with pride. Talius snaps at her arrival, but she turns his own question back on him, calling Iron Fang's Little Friendship Club. His challenge barely gets out before Lamia silences him in 5 seconds flat. While Talius fumes in background, Kanado asks Juna about Seraph Wings. Juna nervously explains there are several guilds in Kingdom, and Seraph Wings is biggest. They take high-level missions far beyond regular jobs, so everyone calls them strongest guild in Kingdom, and other guilds avoid their territory to keep work from being taken. Lamia leans close and mocks Iron Fangs for starting work on same turf, asking if it is courage or stupidity. Talius fires back that crushing big rival makes victory sweeter, while Kanado quietly guesses Gian and Oljan probably never thought about any rivalry at all. Then another armor charges from crystals, cutting argument short. Lamia refuses to waste time. With schedule packed full of missions, She blasts armor apart in one huge boom, leaving Kanado staring up in shock as fragments fall. She explains their client holds rights over Crystal Forest, and Seraph Wings must clear suits of armor blocking mining. Talia states Iron Fang's mission: find Ibis, missing person who has not left Crystal Forest in long time. Lamia accepts split objectives and asks them not to interfere while Seraph Wings handles armor-threatening public safety. Then Zio points at Kanado, calls him colorless, and says missing person work probably suits him better anyway. Zio explains adventurer badges mark skill level: colorless, bronze, silver, and gold. He stands proudly among crystals, laughing about his own theme song, while someone notes his rank is gold, and that he may even have capacity to become regalia, rank destined to stand above all adventurers. Talius reels when he hears Zio only started about a month ago, and Juna calls him prodigy. Kanado stays quiet, measuring himself against Zio's confidence, while Zio casually says they began around same time. Talius tries to grab him for challenge, but Lamia cuts it off, saying there is no point hanging around and telling Seraph Wings to finish mission. After Seraph Wings leave, Talius angrily swears he will make that round-eyed boy cry next time. Kanado asks again what suits of armor are, and Elsie explains they were originally magical gadgets made by Ibis. She insists they never attacked anyone before, even if she saw them mess up sometimes while helping out. Talius teases that Ibis only makes defects, and Elsie snaps back that it is not true because sometimes they work. Then, Kanado hears a creak behind him. Armor lumbers close, and panic explodes across his face as he runs screaming through Crystal Path. Group scrambles as same armor crashes down, the one they thought was knocked into next week. Talius shouts for Kanado to get back, but Kanado notices magic formula covering armor. Instead of retreating, he grips device and casts Saitai magic, relaxation, trying to ease it because it is magical. Talius yells, asking what Kanado is doing, but Kanado tells everyone to look closely at armor. Formula covers its body, so he thinks he might calm it down. Armor suddenly stops with heavy clanks, then speaks politely, admitting they found it in quite embarrassing position, shocking whole group because it can talk. Talking armor apologizes for rudeness and says it was programmed to chase away visitors. When Kanado asks whether Ibis is dangerous, armor rejects misunderstanding and explains crystals in mine are important resource for Kisalani, so it was dispatched to protect them from thieves. It praises Miss Ibis as talented, hardworking, and selfless. And Elsie quietly agrees that Ibis enriches everyone's lives. Armor reveals list of townspeople's worries: Joust family's broken alarm clock, Dren's cold room, Shali's knitting trouble, and more. It says Ibis keeps track of small problems and dreams of developing magical gadgets to help everyone. Kanado asks where she is now, but Armor can only feel connection to formula written by AbyssManga in fog. Talius wonders how to follow that, until Kanado steps forward, releases magic, and declares he can follow trail of AbyssManga, and declares Kanado thinks fast as glowing formula swirls around him. If AbyssManga is moving armor beyond her normal range, then his own magic must work through mana control. By unraveling formula woven from her mana, he believes he can follow route like tracing pathways body uses to flush toxin. Kanado casts Saitai magic. Relaxation and luminous symbols spill across jagged crystal walls. As magic spreads into fog, he becomes certain route to Ibis lies hidden somewhere inside formula, waiting to be released. Magic symbols scatter over Crystal Forest, until Kanado finally shouts, "Release!" Trail opens through crystals, and he bolts after it, calling, "This way!" While others rush behind him in surprise. Talius carries Juna and Elsie while chasing Kanado, amazed that Elsie managed to visualize magic formula at all. Juna calls Kanado amazing, and Talius says normally people read formulas from traces left behind, not connect dots in real time. Then Zio suddenly runs up beside Kanado with bright grin, praising his mana control and asking him to say it again. Back in Kisalani, townspeople panic over news. Elsie went to Crystal Forest. Some worry she cannot handle it alone. Others say she went with adventurers, but fear of armor spreads. Even while they call Ibis troublemaker, they admit she works hard for town and means everything to Elsie. Because when Elsie felt down, only Ibis could make her smile. Town's tension breaks when Kisalani's current mayor, Maria, arrives with her boyfriend Sid. Maria declares, town needs more development, saying since she took over as mayor from her father, everyone should listen and get back to work. Residents challenge her authority over crystal mining, but another voice points out Maria is mayor, so all decisions belong to her. Sid looms over townspeople with forced smile, saying Kisalani cannot make crafts without crystals and offering to sell some. When asked for proof of secret mining, He stares them down, then admits privately plan was to force everyone to mine crystals for them. Maria says Seraph Wings were hired to clear junk in Crystal Forest, and Sid decides he will claim Forest for himself. On path through Crystal Forest, Zio beams when he learns Kanado is 15, same age as him. He happily says they started adventuring at same time, and asks to call him Kanado. But Kanado, unused to talking with anyone his age besides Linne, panics through awkward yeses. Talius asks how long Zio will keep this up as group keeps running. Zio keeps running beside Kanado, grinning like friendship already decided. When Kanado asks why he became adventurer, Zio declares he was born to be hero forever, making Kanado recoil from his intensity. Elsie then points ahead, recognizing road, while Zio praises Kanado with 20 hero points and boasts his dream. Make name as hero, earn bronze statue, and become symbol that helps kingdom live better. Trail opens onto Ibis workshop, house built deep among crystal cliffs, strange devices clanking around roof and walls. Elsie names it at once, then charges upstairs. Door bursts open as she cries for Master Ibis, while Kanado watches her leap toward entrance with alarm. Inside workshop, Ibis lies on tile floor, body covered in crawling magic formula. She weakly recognizes Elsie and asks what she is doing there. Elsie rushes to her master's side in panic, begging to know what happened, while Kanato and others gather around, stunned by condition in front of them. Kanado reads signs fast. Magic formula coursing through Ibis' body is making her mana run wild and consume her from inside out. Ibis explains she wrote complex magic formula, but it would not stabilize and erupted, burning rampant formula onto her body through recoil. Then taut threads suddenly cut across room, and someone orders everyone not to move. Invisible threads yank everyone into air, freezing them above workshop floor. Kanado drops low near Ibis, eyes wide, while Elsie, Juna, Talius, and Zio hang upside down in shock. Lamia stands at distance, calm and unharmed, controlling situation while Ibis remains trapped under spreading formula. Lamia admits relief that she put leash on Zio, even as Zio dangles upside down in embarrassment and yells at floating circles to go away. Elsie pleads for Lamia to cut Ibis threads, but Lamia refuses. Since client fears wandering suits of armor, she says Ibis may be cause. If so, they will weaken her until armor magic formula dissipates, because Lamia cannot know Ibis' true intentions. Lamia concludes Ibis should be taken care of, and orders everyone to stay quiet and watch. Kanado refuses. As threads bite into him, he says Ibis worked hard making magical gadgets for townspeople and wanted to bring people together. He cannot let someone be treated that way, just to complete mission, not when there must be reason behind it. Kanado tears against threads with everything he has, shouting that he will not abandon Ibis, and cannot do that. Lamia warns he will rip off his arms, but Talius roars approval, telling Kanado that is Iron Fang's way. Zio watches in surprise as Kanado fights restraint Hedon, refusing to back down. Kanado forces power through his pinned body and casts Sai-Tai magic. Relaxation and release, then ultimate boost. His magic spreads through Lamia's threads, and she realizes with shock that his magic is traveling along them. While tension melts away from Kanado's shoulder, effect rushes beyond Kanado and hits everyone connected by threads. Lamia's body goes slack as every muscle relaxes, her control slipping from her hands. Zio, Talius, Juna, and Elsie crash down together, while Lamia mutters that gentle magic has stolen her will to fight. Freed from restraint, Kanado sits up just as Elsie throws herself onto Ibis, crying that she is glad her master is okay. Ibis apologizes for worrying her, and Kanado smiles through relief, knowing they reached her in time. Story shifts to Kingdom Council building, where narration explains Council is made up of Adventurers Association and Magic Research Society members. These two organizations maintain public order, and meeting of Council of 12 begins under formal words of thanks, though loud cries for adventure already disrupt room. Order collapses immediately inside Council Hall. A huge laughing man declares he wants to quit being chairman and go on adventure, while older chairwoman snaps at him to be quiet so meeting can start. Nearby, cheerful young member invites teen to spar until one of them is half dead. Title names them Council of 12, but dignity remains thin. One member nervously asks if he can leave because he recently became grandfather. Another asks if taking charge is all right, and others sweat or refuse scary offers while seated around chamber. Chairman tries to explain why Jean has been called, but old acquaintances keep interrupting. Someone notes Jean started his own guild. Another offers sparring with Captain of Seraph Wings, and Jean greets Chairman warmly. Before reason can be stated, bodies suddenly drop from ceiling with heavy thuds as someone shouts, "Unlock!" At last, chairman reveals urgent reason. Many magic users have lately disappeared across kingdom, and several deaths have been confirmed. Council decides to find culprit behind incidents. One member proposes eliminating anyone suspicious, while another says Jian likely agrees. Jian answers they will be responsible for any sanctions, and nervous voice asks to switch seats because person beside them is frightened. Council's order lands like verdict. Identify and eliminate anyone who threatens kingdom. Highest priority for every member of Council of 12. Time passes to snowy Kisalani, where townspeople thank adventurers under night sky. After crisis, gratitude turns into noisy farewells. Ibis promises to help whenever magical gadgets are needed, while adventurers answer with smiles. Then, Sid bolts through street, yelling insults and claiming they will never meet again, until someone shouts that Sid is running away. Sid's escape ends before strange newcomers arrive. Under hanging lights, cloaked figures walk through town. Skull-headed winged beast, black-haired girl in dark cloak, and masked woman in feathered outfit. One asks if they have been working too much lately, and another says after today, you know who will treat them to something delicious. Adventurers stare at strangers, unable to recognize them. Girl in cloak identifies targets one by one. Seraph Wings, magical gadget engineer, and Iron Fangs. With calm smile, she says they are lucky to find so many sacrificial lambs at once, because you know who will be pleased. Sid screams at them to stop wandering around. Girl silences Sid by kissing him, shocking everyone nearby. His body twists and breaks apart as she smiles and says she hopes all of them will come along as offering. Horror spreads through crowd, and Kanado and Talius stare in disbelief at sudden cruelty. Skull-winged beast lunges, deciding it is too much trouble, and they should destroy everyone before taking them away. Lamia instantly takes command, telling Ibis to lead townspeople as far away as possible. As Monster charges through street, she shouts for everyone to hurry. Explosion rips through Kisalani Street, sending stones and townspeople flying in panic. Talius rushes Beast head-on with blade drawn, declaring it reeks of murder, and he will stop it. He slashes through debris, forcing clash amid collapsing pavement. Monster shrugs off assault and calls it not bad. Kanado sees town being destroyed and forces himself to move, yelling that he has to fight and do something. He launches Massage Ball, super acceleration at Beast, but impact proves too weak, leaving Kanado stunned by gap in power. Skull-headed Beast slams Kanado down with brutal force, leaving him gasping on broken stone. Talius and Elsie shout his name from afar, but Monster only sneers at colorless adventurer before Kanado struggles to breathe, thinking townspeople still need him. Kanado orders his body to move, yet pain pins him to ground. Monster mocks everyone as fools and says using magic on something as plain as flower decorations is worthless. Around Kanado, townspeople still smile in his memory, and his own words return. He wanted to become kind adventurer who supports people. Memories keep pressing into him, because stronger people encouraged him, because Zio accepted him, and because he could adjust mana. Kanado had begun to believe he might truly be good adventurer. But with his fingers scraping floor, one thought cuts deeper than pain. Unless he can fight alone, he cannot protect all these kind people right in front of him. Another memory rises, warm and painful. Line once smiled and said he had wished to be adventurer since childhood, hoping his magic could help many people. Kanado knows his magic is gentle, yet too dangerous, and hard to control on himself. But now he clenches his fist and decides he has to use it anyway. Kanado launches himself back into motion with Saitai magic, tearing across ruined street like living storm. His strike finally makes skull-headed Beast grunt, and Talius, with Elsie nearby, yells Kanado's name in shock. Kanado pushes even harder, stacking flow boost with super acceleration until impact bursts across Monster's body. Blood and mana lash around his arm, but he screams that he will not let Monster do any more damage to town. After blow, new chapter title hangs over wreckage. Kanado's magic. Chapter 12, Dark Clouds. Kanado stands trembling, body battered from using his magic and boost at same time. He admits cost was far greater than expected, mana too low to keep both going, and pain so severe he can barely stand, yet voice from smoke says, yes, wonder. Skull-headed Beast steps from dust, impressed by Kanado's hit and deciding it would be waste to use him as sacrifice. So it will take him personally. Talius growls that Monster still will not quit, but spiraling bindings erupt around area. Beast claps calmly and tells everyone to listen carefully. Skull-winged Beast spreads its magic and warns everyone not to flee, saying it is about to release its power. Talius and others shout for Kanado to get back, but Kanado, barely able to move, fixes his eyes forward, and chooses to defeat enemy right there. Monster grins, pleased, and says it knew it liked him. Before Beast can finish him, dark smoke crashes into battlefield. Dark-haired man with braid drops between Kanado and Monster, stepping down with calm confidence as swirling black clouds gather around his body. Man smiles down at Monster and declares playtime over. An instant, skull-winged beast is blasted away, its body tearing across street with violent force. Explosion erupts across Kisalani, throwing rubble high into air while Beast stares in disbelief. Dark-haired man lands above wrecked street and says Monster is pretty strong. But unfortunately for it, he still has plenty energy to burn today. Arrival stuns enemies and allies alike. Cloaked girl and masked woman react in shock, while Zio recognizes something bigger happening. Lamia says nobody told her they would send captains, and Zio calls situation unusual. Then Ajim, head of Magic Research Society Barrier Department, appears through teleportation barrier and tells Raid and Jian to make sure they find their own way home. Ajim, veteran researcher who manages kingdom-wide barriers and uses them for teleportation, agrees to handle his side. He tells Cloaked Girl and Masked Woman to confirm whether intruders are mere small-time thugs. Meanwhile, 40 minutes earlier at Council of 12 meeting, Raid apologizes for trouble as he links to Lamia through Magical Gadget. Raid reveals he is sharing Lamia's sight with Magical Gadget, complete with unnecessary emoji. Tian questions emoji, while Council learns suspicious individuals may be connected to incident. Jian and another member note Seraph Wing's captain gets straight to point and never laughs at jokes. Message turns grave when Raid tells Jian his crew is in trouble too. Ajim reacts, and Kisalani battlefield falls silent around new arrivals. Monster realizes captains are on different level, even among gold-ranked adventurers, while calling out Talius' name in alarm. Jian sizes up Iron Fangs from battlefield wreckage, seeing more than wounds and fear. Talius is passionate and devoted. Juna has courage despite shyness, and Kanado is ridiculously kind, full of potential. Even enemies look awful because they tried hardest to protect town. Black clouds coil around Jean as sharp spears gather overhead. With hand raised, he asks if enemies are ready, pressure thick enough to swallow street. Jean smiles through cracked, shadowed face and finishes question with chilling ease. Are they ready for him? Dark magic hovers behind him, waiting to fall. Skull-headed beast laughs at luck instead of fear, declaring it will take Jian for itself too. Black spikes rain toward ruined Kisalani, smashing down across town with thunderous noise. Before Storm can claim them, Ajim grabs Beast's group and pulls them away, saying they should go home. Jian's attack detonates where they stood, and Kanado stares in shock at power that barely missed. Beast flails, furious it also ran away, while companions complain and hold it back. Retreat does not end threat. Enormous crystalline structure rises with rumble, and masked figure appears like answer from machine, declaring Ex Machina before launching stabbing rain. Black spears surround fleeing enemies again as they slip through air. Jian lunges after them, refusing clean escape. Skull-headed beast admits they must regroup, but Kanado screams from below, demanding apology to people of town before they run away. Beast answers with challenge, promising they will settle it someday, and telling Kanado to hone skills until their magic clashes again. Skull-headed beast points straight at Kanado and vows they will destroy each other as many times as it takes. Kanado, battered and shaking, still chases with clenched fist, swearing he will stop Monster with his magic and will not let it go, no matter how many times it takes. After brutal clash, Kanado sways on broken street, face battered and strength gone. Jian catches him from behind before he falls, holding him steady as smoke drifts over damaged Kisalani. From rooftop above town, Jian tells Kanado he put up great fight, then gives him quiet praise. Good job. Memory twists into nightmare. Kanado rushes home calling for his grandmother, eager to tell her everything, but dream collapses into ruined town and skull-headed beast in hood. Monster says it destroyed town and everyone in it, leaving Kanado alone, then invites him to fight. Kanado jolts awake with scream. Kanado opens his eyes in hospital bed, bandaged and sweating, while Linne leans over him with cloth in hand. She says he was tossing, turning, and soaked with sweat. Confused, Kanado asks where he is, and Linne explains he was brought to hospital and has been asleep for 3 days. Linne proudly reveals she stayed by Kanado's side day and night, wearing nurse outfit as perfect costume for helping someone recover. Kanado thanks her but questions outfit, while she apologizes for trouble, saying she pushed him into this. Still, she insists caring for him is part of her job. Line's cheerful mask cracks as she remembers how Kanado might have been happier staying in town and running Sai-Tai Clinic. Tears fill her eyes, but she tells him she does not want to be apart from him, and came because seeing him hurt made her realize it is her responsibility to see this through. Kanado gently apologizes for worrying her and says even without magic, he can still watch over her. Line suddenly hugs Kanado tight, claiming she is not worried, while he panics under bandages. Jean steps into hospital room with dry warning that if they want to do that kind of thing, he can give them key to lock door first. A nurse calmly adds that this is hospital, and Kanado cries out Jean's name in embarrassment. Kanado immediately asks about town and everyone else, but Jean tells him to settle down. Kingdom already sent reconstruction team to help Kisalani, and Talius with others are recovering in next room with no serious injuries. Kureha, smiling nurse, thanks Kanado for pushing himself for townspeople, then bluntly says he got carried away and was so beaten up it was gross. Kureha tells Kanado to sit still because it is time for medicine. Huge octopus-like tentacles burst around bed as Octomia begins strange healing treatment. Jian explains magic reflects each practitioner's training, and some bloodlines pass down rare power. Kureha's family runs hospital with exceptionally rare healing magic, though Kanado's terrified face makes one question whether it looks like healing at all. Kureha explains Kanado's Seitai magic is versatile, but too tricky for deep healing. Her family's magic weaves damaged cells and tissue back together, closing wounds the moment it touches them, while Kanado's magic works more like moist wound healing and falls behind when injuries become severe. Kureha's warning turns blunt. If Kanado ever pushes his body with boost magic like that again, he may wreck his mana circuits and lose magic forever. Kanado freezes at thought of never helping anyone again, so Kureha ends treatment for day and tells him he needs serious soul-searching. Jian tries to slip away, insisting he is fine, while Kureha angrily clicks her tongue and demands he at least break bone for her. Then curtain flies open with loud laugh, and Zio reveals himself in next bed, thrilled that Kanado gets to bask in his heroic aura. Zio's confidence collapses when Line appears. Kanado introduces him as friends same age, and Line smiles politely, but Zio turns red and barely manages awkward greeting. Line's own nervous stare proves all three teens are equally awkward. Outside hospital talk shifts back to Kisalana's defense. Zio calls letting enemies escape lifetime disgrace for hero, but Jian reminds him he helped evacuate townspeople. Zio answers that even if someone had been trapped under rubble, he still could have made it in time because he is hero. Kanado looks amazed by Zio's certainty, but sudden footsteps cut through room. Talius and Juna rush in. Relieved Kanado is awake. Talius breaks down, blaming himself for being useless and for forcing Kanado to put himself in danger, while Juna promises she will get strong enough for Kanado to rely on her too. Everyone's words sink into Kanado. Looking back, he realizes people kept encouraging him and lending hands whenever he needed them. Zio wants to help Guild even more, and Kanado quietly admits he feels same way. He wants to change. Kanado's resolve sharpens beside memory of skull-headed monster. He says he wants to be as strong as Zio, wants to protect people, and that means learning to do things on his own. His goal no longer stops at supporting others from behind. Kanado lifts his magic with bandaged hands and declares new goal. He will fight, win, and protect people. To do that, he wants to master boosting his own body. Kureha instantly panics, and even Nurse mutters about wanting to be young again. Kureha slaps Kanado's cheeks between her hands, calling him complete idiot. She warns that using that magic again could ruin his mana circuits and physical abilities, because magic is tied deeply to mind and body. Jian agrees Kanado is not built for combat, then calmly points out what he truly needs: precise control of mana and physical reinforcement. Jian grins and offers solution. While Kanado recovers, he will stop taking missions and begin training instead. Jian announces he is sending him to experts in mana manipulation, Maho clan. Everyone reacts in shock, and Kanado blurts that he has never even seen them before. Jian explains Maho clan are perfect, because nobody handles mana better than those women. Then warning lands harder. They are also fiercest warrior clan he knows. Behind Kanado, masked clan warriors roar in terrifying unison, leaving him sweating while Zio looks excited, and Line stares in surprise. New chapter opens on map of designated high-risk zones, places where mana concentration is so high that strange, dangerous environments form. Entry is forbidden to most people, with permission depending on adventurer rank and zone danger. Names like Old Capital and Dragon's Nest mark places where survival is never guaranteed. For this mission, Kanado travels toward one such dangerous area with Jian. A giant skull marker looms beside path, making Kanado tremble and ask if they can really just show up there. Jian says it is fine, because Maho helped him long ago, and their village is already close. Cliffs rise into thin air as they climb deeper into Maho territory. Jian warns that Maho are mana experts, and if Kanado uses mana recklessly, they may assume he is Marauder and attack. Kanado feels whole body tingle from mana-filled air, then marvels at strange place when Jian casually gets distracted by sugar grass. A few days earlier, Zio complained that Lamia scheduled him for another mission, because he wanted to see Maho clan too. Kanado prepared to leave hospital, wrapped in Kureha's sturdy bandages, and told not to remove them except for bathing. Zio promised to wait for souvenirs, while Talius and Juna hid under blanket, terrified by thought of village, feared by adventurers. Back at hospital, Talius and Juna tremble under blanket, warning Kanado that Maho clan will snatch him up and punish him the moment he enters. Zio still asks for practical souvenir, but when Linne offers to come along because she is worried, Kanado refuses sharply, afraid danger will reach her too. En road to village, Kanado drinks water and repeats reason to himself. He does not want to worry Linne more than he already has. Jean's earlier words press down harder than fear. Kanado has to get stronger at Maho clan village, at least until he can protect people around him. That resolve gets tested at once. High above rock walls, masked Maho warrior stands on cliffside, like gravity means nothing. Kanado looks up in shock, realizing someone is standing on vertical stone, before figure drops toward them. Kanado recognizes braid and facial scar, and blurts out that Jian is criminal. Maho warrior hears it, condemns Jian for disrupting clan order, and attacks right away. Jian dodges through crashing stone while cliff face explodes under impact. Kanado yells that Jian said they were friends, but Jian only finds Chase strange and tells Kanado not to bite his tongue. Strategy changes instantly. Jian scoops Kanado up, summons dark cloud beneath them, and launches full speed straight toward Maho clan village. Escape route becomes worse. More masked warriors pour from cliffs and sky, shouting as they chase through high-risk zone. Jian looks ahead with uneasy smile and admits this might be bad. Sky Dragon, Maho clan's village, spreads across floating cliffs and mountain platforms inside designated high-risk zone. At gate, guards react to newcomers with alarm, shouting that he is criminal and that Kanado is man. Village warriors swarm around Jian and Kanado, demanding punishment and purification. One raised hand silences crowd. Jian apologizes for failing to calm village malice during Lunar Fighting Festival season, but admits everyone is already tense from preparations, so of course his unannounced arrival made everything worse. Inside Sky Dragon, two Beast Guard captains meet Kanado and Jian. Sharptooth Latna laughs at their terrible timing, while masked Karyu says Maho are already on edge. When Jian explains Kanado came to learn Maho techniques, Karyu shuts it down cold and tells them to go home before Kanado gets killed. Clan Chief explains their mana manipulation is subconscious art cultivated over hundreds of years, not something taught to outsiders. Latna turns on Jian, calling him criminal, and asking if he remembers what he did, while memories from decades ago paint Jian as monkey-like menace who ate, slept, and did whatever he pleased in village. Karyu says men have dark history in Maho clan, selfishly doing whatever they want, and Latna laughs that they can finally settle things with Jian. Jian admits he truly thought they would be welcomed, but Karyu says his head is in clouds. Kanado asks personal question, though Karyu first assumes he is begging for Jian's life. Kanado nervously asks Karyu whether she feels stiffness in shoulders or lower back. Shock freezes both guard captains. He explains that pushing mana and body to limits may have left her pelvis slightly misaligned, and nearby Maho women laugh, claiming Lady Karyu is always in perfect shape. Karyu snaps that man like Kanado knows nothing about mana, because Maho use mana itself to turn bodies into weapons. Kanado apologizes, saying he was only curious and hoped to help. Instead of rejecting him, Karyu smiles with interest and tells him to try, warning that if nothing changes, she will repay him with fists. Kanado accepts and activates Saitai magic. Pelvic realignment, his hands flash with magic as he adjusts Carius' body directly, and impact hits her hard enough to make her cry out. Silence spreads through watching Maho. Karyu stares in confusion as sensation rises from inside her, realizing her body feels much lighter. Kanado calls out that he adjusted her, while Jian watches from behind, letting results speak before anyone can attack. Karyu stands stunned beneath title page for Chapter 15, realizing Kanado's magic made her body feel lighter. Rows of Maho warriors stare in disbelief. Kanado, still polite, asks how she feels and offers to adjust anything else that still needs fixing. Curious pride collapses into denial. Face flushed and sweating, she insists Kanado's treatment did not work on her at all. Kanado panics, apologizes, and promises to fix whatever still bothers her. But when he reaches out again, she recoils in shock and screams for him to wait. Kanado's frantic attempt turns into chaos. Karyu yelps as he presses at her again, while nearby Maho stare in disbelief and ask what is happening. Latna sees Karyu under Kanado's hands and erupts, calling it an attack and charging at Kanado as warriors shout for punishment. Before mob can crash down, huge presence cuts through room. Feathered village chief lands between everyone and commands them to stop. One burst of force blows back Maho warriors across floor, freezing Kanado, Jian, Karyu, and Latna in stunned silence. Village chief turns to Karyu and asks how boy's magic was. Karyu stiffly lies, claiming it was nothing special, and her body already felt fine, but Latna blurts that Karyu said in bath other day that she was aching all over. Chief immediately reads truth and calls her liar, with everyone silenced. Village chief declares she will take Jian and Kanado into her custody. Guards and captains react in shock. Jian apologizes, but Latna objects, while Kanado and Jian quietly worry they might end up stuffed and mounted. Captain of North Guard, Suzaku, steps forward with guards behind her, smiling as she says Maho cannot tolerate outsiders entering their territory. Since one intruder is terrible criminal and everyone wants him punished, she argues Chief must lead by example or damage Maho pride. Latna threatens to shut Suzaku up if she disobeys Chief, but Suzaku calmly asks if Latna wants fight. Kanado and Jian stand aside, awkwardly excluded from dispute about them. Chief refuses welcome, yet refuses disrespect too, because one member of Council of 12 has personally bowed his head to ask favor. Chief presses point harder, saying rudeness towards such person would also damage Maho pride. Suzaku yields with forced smile, and Latna agrees. Tension remains under silent guards' hats, as attention shifts toward deep square stairwell sinking into village below. Tarasu leads Jian and Kanado to heavy doors, admitting their treatment was barbaric, even if they invaded. Kanado nervously accepts blame for coming without permission, while Jian wonders if he is being scolded too. Karyu and Latna are ordered to wait outside, and Tarasu calls chamber their cell, leaving Jian and Kanado uneasy, as old memories of starvation creep in. Instead of prison bars, cavern opens into vast personal study, walls packed with floating bookshelves and lanterns. Jean questions if this can even be called jail cell, while Kanado stares up at shelves. Tarasu says reading is village's main entertainment and sees no harm in letting prisoners stay in library. Tarasu steps forward, small but commanding, and formally introduces herself as chief of Maho clan. She grants men permission to look upon her, telling them to be honored, while her bare feet and horn-like hair ornaments make her presence strangely calm and severe at once. Kanado and Jian freeze, stunned by Chief's tiny height. Kanado blurts that she is same height as him, and Jian asks if she shrank. Hidden Maho voices snap at them to watch their tongues, praising Lady Tarasu as youngest, cutest, most charismatic chief ever, while Jian mutters that wanting to hug her sounds unprofessional. Tarasu ignores noise and asks Kanado to use earlier magic on her. Kanado politely takes Teresa's hand and activates his adjustment magic. Force ripples through her palm, and after brief shock, she studies result with quiet interest. She tells Kanado his magic is meant for others, complete opposite of Mahao techniques, which only control their own mana. Tarasu asks what Kanado wants to learn from Maho, and he answers how to use his magic to boost physical skills. She questions why he would use that power on himself to fight, warning that true strength appears when used on others, and asks why he would expose himself to danger. Kanado looks down at his hands and says he does not want to regret having this magic, or give up exploring its possibilities, even if helping others is right, and struggle becomes futile. He resolves to keep struggling as much as needed. With clear eyes, Kanado declares he wants to protect place where he belongs and everyone around him. Tarasu recognizes that answer and says he is like her, then agrees to ask Karyu and Latna to train him. Kanado bursts with gratitude as Jian cheers. But outside, Karyu and Latna protest violently, while Tarasu grants him 1 month to learn self-boosting before time runs out. Teresa's decision comes with threat hidden inside smile. If Kanado's healing magic proves too useful, she may keep him in Maho village for life. Outside closed chamber, Kanado panics that he might never leave, while Jian tells him not to wimp out. Meanwhile, Tarasu admits outsiders in village are unusual. Suzaku's militant faction may move, and more importantly, Kanado must struggle with everything he has. After first meeting with Kanado, Tarasu breaks down in private. Her face turns red, her heart pounds, and she realizes that was first time she ever spoke to man. The chief, who looked untouchable, collapses into flustered weakness, while guards panic and remind her to stay calm. Chapter 16 opens with Tarasu peeking from behind tree, staring hard at Kanado. Under Lady Tarasa's direct order, Karyu and Latna reluctantly begin his training that same day, and Kanado clenches fist, ready to accept their guidance. Training begins brutally. Latna lifts huge boulder with bare strength and tells Kanado to build muscle by picking up nearby rocks same way. Kanado freezes, asking if she is using some physical boost, but Latna says Noid is her own strength. First hurdle already looks impossible. Karyu explains Maho are born able to manipulate mana, as natural as breathing, with no technique or logic to teach. Kanado still tries to feel it through Seitai magic and super acceleration, but power bursts out wildly, shredding his clothes in explosion. Tarasu watches from behind tree, stunned that he only made his clothes explode. 3 days after men arrived, Tarasu records Kanato in notebook. He came to learn Maho physical boosting arts, and though his magic looks weak at first, it is not destructive. It soothes body and soul so deeply that Tarasu keeps losing track of her own entry whenever memory of his touch returns. Tarasu imagines advantage if village gained Kanato's magic, but her observation leads to one certain conclusion. There is no way weakling like him will fulfill own-month agreement. She still calls plan brilliant while blushing over her own scheme, until Karyu catches her hiding and asks what she is doing there. By 6th day, Kanato is completely run down. But still in good spirits, he can barely stand, yet Karyu and Latna push him to keep up and build awful stamina first. Panting hard, Kanato accepts how weak he feels and forces himself forward, determined to build body strong enough to fight. Training turns deadly fast. Kanato tumbles down cliff face in panic, realizing too late he cannot use his magic while falling, while Karyu watches from above and wonders if he can survive drop. Kanato tries to grab rock, but body slips toward impact anyway. Before Crash can crush him, Tarasu steps into chaos. She lands calmly atop water-slick stone, balancing massive debris with impossible ease while Kanato stares in shock and cries out to Lady Tarasu. Tarasu says she does not mind watching Kanato struggle, but she refuses to see him smashed to bits. Kanato thanks her from water. Karyu and Latna clap at her power, and Tarasu quietly documents everything. Though her private note fixates on first time touching man's body, night settles over Sky Dragon after brutal day. Kanato walks toward baths, sneezing and aching all over, ashamed of how pathetic he was. Before he can recover alone, Latna appears from bath entrance and cheerfully decides he can join her. Kanato tries to refuse, but Latna drags him inside, grumbling that men are such pain. Then Tarasu appears in towel. Kanato freezes red-faced, and Latna suddenly drops with squeal as awkward tension explodes inside bathhouse. In hot spring, Latna reports Kanato's progress with blunt honesty. He has determination, but he is hopeless unless they build muscle and stamina. Then she calls him over and demands he do his usual post-training treatment, while Kanato panics at timing. Kanato explains that he loosens Latna's muscles after training and helps her flexibility. With embarrassed focus, he activates Seitai magic and begins massage, smack, and rub treatment, while Latna relaxes under his hands and Tarasu watches from bath in stunned silence. Latna finishes refreshed, says it felt good, and immediately decides to run another lap, making Kanato protest that bathing was pointless. Tarasu then turns to him with quiet intensity, asking him to use his magic on her too slowly, gently, and says now he can repay her. Kanato's hands hover over Terrace's back as she asks if his strange eyes were born that way. He explains he can see mana flow and identify abnormalities by comparing them to normal body structure, but he cannot use that sight on himself or during physical boosting. Tarasu listens, then warns that his training may bring only pain, because in this world, innate skills mean everything, and they rarely change. Tarasu speaks from weight of chief's seat, remembering long history, unchanging traditions, and customs she must protect. Yet Kanato understands need for change too. Even if change does not always mean progress, he believes trying still matters, even when result may not change anything at all. His answer leaves Tarasu silent for one long breath. Then she flushes, rises, and praises him for speaking well. Kanato startles as she tells him to stand, offering reward, even though he insists he has done nothing. And under moonlit sky she raises her palm, ordering him to place his hand against hers. Their palms meet, and Tarasu begins guiding him through Makarange, a Maho dance learned in childhood. She commands him to block her left punch, then her right kick, letting her mana flow into him. Kanado feels boost rising little by little, but movement turns fast. Control demands precision, and Tarasu says mastering it in 1 month is impossible. Kanado is thrown, flipped, and slammed again and again, yet realization hits harder than pain. If he can figure out Maka range and master it, he may finally grasp physical boosting. He thanks Tarasu and lunges close in excitement, making her panic and shove him away, while her private warning rings clear. Caution is essential when it comes to men.